You would not think that something as simple as a piece of hose would cause so much grief. Whether it's a manufacturing fault or a material selection fault, don't know. But having a piece of hose that doesn't do what it's supposed to do can mean an awful lot of water gets in your boat very quickly. Watch the video to see why. Last time we were in Marmaris, and it was now time for us to move slightly south in order to go west before going north again. It'll all make sense in a moment, but Bosborough is where we were heading. We went via Siflik or Chiflik. It's a lovely little bay, and we stayed there overnight. The water was crystal clear, and Cindy decided she was going to give the bottom a scrub. Siflik Koyo, that's where we're heading. Submarine cables down there. We're going to try and get up here. Oh, there is more over here. Let's see what we can see. We're running on engine. It's absolutely flat calm. There's 2 knots of breeze. Oh, there's some brickwork on that island, look, see it? Probably another fortress. I suppose I ought to go on the helm, stop us bashing into that island. Right, I'll do that. There's David out there. Not sure if you're going to get this on the camera, but there's a big hole there in those rocks as we come in. Oh look, and a wet white packet there. Can't really stop and pick it up. Yeah, there's a cat out there, some people swimming. Looks like it's all tied back. There might be some room a bit further in. Let's see how we get on. This is our Gopro 4. It's a great little camera and we've had it a couple of years, but it's in better days, and so now all of our underwater photography we use this one, and that way if it gets lost or damaged or floods, well, we haven't lost one of the good GoPros. As you can see, the water is absolutely crystal clear, but sitting in the marina for 3 months while I recovered hasn't done the bottom of the boat any favours. Copper coat only actually works when it's moving through the water or there's water movement around it. So while we were sitting at anchor, Cindy got out the green scratchy and gave the bottom a good scrub. It does look much better than this now. Well, looking at the footage now, it looks like our gaiter is starting to come off. Now I've got a spare and they do come off from time to time. It's usually not the glue that gives way, it's the gaiter itself that starts to perish or disintegrate. Anyway, next time we come out, I'll be doing that. I'll put it on the to-do list for when we come out. Cindy's just checking the anchor, making sure that we're set well and truly in. It looks like the chain is going through the weed. Oh yep, and there's the Ultra buried just the other side of it. Dug in fairly well, but we're not expecting any high winds, so this will be great. This will hold us overnight. And there's somebody else's chain not too far away. Yep, there's their road hanging down. That's the boat that was next to us, and we knew their anchor was fairly close to ours, but it appears to be a lot closer than we'd like. Hey ho, they didn't tangle, and when we left the following morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock, we didn't pull their chain up or rode. The next morning at about 5:15 we were up and drinking tea, and plotting a course to come down to the south, round the peninsula through the prohibited diving area, and then eventually, having rounded the headland, back north and east in order to get into Bosborough. It was a fantastic sunrise. There was very little wind, force 1 or 2, a little chop on the sea, but nothing to speak of. Our anticipation was that the wind would get up later in the day, maybe 11 or 12 o'clock, but for now we just motored on. Here we are at Bosborough. The observant among you will notice that the boat that was being built has kind of had some more work done on it. This piece of land here had just been raked and had all the stones removed, but there's now a little shed up there and another one there, and this one here, which is new, as well as a landing stage. So whether some of the land has been sold or they're squatters, or I don't know. Don't know how it works in Turkey, but certainly the bay has got more people in it on the land now. Trying to sink your boat once in a day might be considered by some as, I don't know, careless. But twice in a day? Once again, the place is a mess. I have the bungs out and we keep them fairly easily accessible over the back there, so you could literally just grab them. But I've got some of these which are naval bungs, and these have got a thread on them and they screw in. I've got various sizes of those. And why have I got those out? Well, because we have a hole. Let's turn that fan off for a minute. Because we have a valve that's gone. I'll explain what the issue is. This is the water inlet for our heads. It's this inlet and outlet which are the two main through holes and valves which are below the waterline on our Bavaria. Now, Bavaria make these out of brass. Yes, they're not bronze and they're not stainless steel. and the pin which activates the ball or turns the ball is also brass, and this rots out and causes the valve to stop turning. It's quite a common fault. Now, despite us inspecting them in March, this one just suddenly let go. So we then had to change this while the boat's in the water. Now, this can be tricky, especially if the through hull is not solid. Turn that valve, that one there, and break the through hull off, and you're going to get an awful lot of water in the boat very quickly. Putting a good bung in from the outside to close the through hull off works fine. That is, of course, providing that the through hull itself is stable and strong, and that's where the inspections come in every year when we lift out. Now, tapping them with a hammer, unfortunately, shows that your through hull and valves are okay, but what it doesn't do is check that little pin. So next time we're out the water, I think we're going to change all of our valves and all of our through hulls for stainless steel ones, and then we won't have to go through this rigmarole again. Now, luckily we had the right bungs to go and fill the hole from the outside, which is what Cindy is doing here, pushing it in and then screwing it home. Make sure that no water can get up through that through hull and into the boat. A couple of days ago I was adjusting the inlet valve on our electric toilet. That's this one. By adjusting this valve and opening and closing the ball inside, you can adjust the amount of flow that goes into the electric toilet. We were getting too much water in, so I decided to close it down a bit. Well, and then open it up a bit and then close it down a bit. At which point that happened. Now, we know that the Bavarias fit brass, yes, brass, not bronze, valves and through hulls to their boats when they're new. And you have a process called dezinkification, where the zinc comes out of the brass, and what happens is it becomes weak and literally corrodes away, and that's what's happened here. The little brass ball pin that goes inside there has got water around it, salt water, and it's literally rotted away. Now, I inspected these valves and the through hulls, and the valve is solid, no problems. The through hull, solid, no problems. But the actual ball lever and the pin that turns that ball have got salt water on them and corroded away. As I was adjusting, this came off, water started coming out of there. Now, I didn't have a bung small enough to fill that small hole, but what I did have is some of this. This is called white tack. Other colours of tack are available, blue for example, and I simply pushed that onto there to stop it leaking. And as you can see, there's still some water actually trapped in the ball there, but that kept us safe overnight. I checked it over the first couple of hours, didn't come off because it's held, not very much pressure there trying to push that off, and it held overnight. There wasn't an awful lot of water coming out there, one drip every 5 or 6 seconds, so I just laid an old towel down underneath it so I could deal with it the next day when I could replace this valve. In order to replace that valve, we needed to bung the through hull from the outside. We needed to have a just in case method of doing that. Now, you can use your ordinary wooden bungs from the outside. The water pressure helps push them in, and then they swell up. The problem then is getting them out, believe it or not. But we have some of these, and when I was doing an awful lot of diving, I dived in a place down at Port Solent where the Navy did a lot of their training for their divers, and they used to leave a lot of these in the bottom of the pond, and every time I went in and I saw them, I picked them up. So they're a softish rubber, and they've got a thread cut on them, and what you do is you push that in the hole and you turn it and it seals the hole up really great. And they do them in all kinds of sizes, and we've got quite a few of them that we keep on the boat. and they go down really small if we need them. So I think that these are better than the traditional wooden bungs. We keep them in a bag just behind me there, and then we know exactly where all the bungs of all the different sizes are. I know a lot of people like to put a bung roughly the right size near a seacock, but we only have three seacocks now, which are below the waterline, through holes that are below the waterline. That's the toilet in and the toilet out, and of course our water maker one now. So rather than have these rolling around in that little space, I keep all of the bungs all together, all the different sizes, and I know exactly where to go, and if I haven't got the one that's right for the job in my hand, I know it's going to be in that bag. And from now on I'll be keeping some of this white tack in the same bag, so that I can seal up valves like that should one go again. Now, as I say, I checked all of the valves and all of the through holes in March when we had the boat out, and they're all solid. What I didn't inspect was this little pivoting pin which turns the ball inside the valve. I just didn't think that water would get past that O-ring and rot it away. Luckily it failed with a ball in the closed position. So there you go. There is a little bit of zinc degradation around the bottom of this valve, but it's still solid. It wouldn't have been a problem. But now that's been replaced, and of course next time we come out, I think what we'll do as a matter of course is we'll just change the whole lot. The valves, the through holes and the elbows, and we'll change them all for stainless steel. The second thing that happened, and while we're there, when Cindy went to push this bung up the hole from the outside, there were barnacles inside the through hole. Sorry about the noise in the background, there's guys on a gullet shouting at each other. And she couldn't get this in because of the barnacles. So what she did was took a stainless steel bolt, fairly long one, and used the thread as a file and just put it in the hole, pushed it in and out a few times. That filed all the barnacles away from a place she couldn't get to, and she was then able to push the bung in and get it to seal perfectly, and it did seal absolutely perfectly. So we had another problem. A couple of hours later, we're running the water maker. All of a sudden there's water squirting all over the place. And what was the problem? Something I overlooked. Hey ho, we're all human, we all make mistakes. That's why there's rubbers on the ends of pencils, by the way. So this was the cause of our second lot of problems. This is plastic hose. It's got a wire reinforcement in it. You're all familiar with this. This is the kind of hose that takes slightly more pressure than your average garden hose. The wire reinforcing helps it, stops it from collapsing if it's on a vacuum side, and of course reinforces it, makes it stronger. Unfortunately, the way that this one's been manufactured, the wire is actually showing inside of the hose, and what happened was, as the water maker sucked the salt water through, this wire started to rust and rot, and then as it did that, it split the hose, which allowed 30 litres a minute of water into our lazarette. Now we managed to get the water out. It's fairly easy to get to that area with the aquavac or the shop vac and get it out, and of course then we can wipe it down with some RO water. But I didn't check this hose until I had to cut the end off where it's got a manufacturing fault, which is all I can assume it is, a manufacturing fault. But it actually says 10th month of 2021 on there. So not only is it quite old and possibly the wire was rotting already, but I didn't check to see if it was stainless steel wire or galvanised wire, and that's my faux pas, unfortunately. Hey ho, we've managed to replace the hose with some pucker stuff now, and the water maker is back up and running again, although we have had to lay our spinnaker out on deck to get that to dry out, as it was covered in salt water as well. Right, so that's it, all done now. Not as tidy as I'd really like, but no leaks. I'll leave it 24 hours, I'll leave this door off, it's all tied back up again. Our third attempt at an outro. Microphones are driving me crazy at the moment. So we're on the Panasonic 4K, we've got the Rode mic on, we've got a dead cat on, we've tried filming outside. Great picture.
But it's just too windy.
It's too windy, even with the dead cat on. Not working. Anyway.
Hello.
Hello. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Bit dramatic. We did try to seek the vote twice, but hey ho.
Well, we didn't try.
No.
We nearly sank the boat. Yeah. Could have been worse. Could have been a disaster, darling.
Yes. One reason why you should never go and leave your boat with the water maker running or anything else like that, because you know they'll just keep pumping water until the battery's submerged or whatever. Anyway, it's all sorted now, and we've got some new valves and bits and bobs on order for when we lift out next spring, and I'll change the whole lot for genuine stainless steel ones. But if you've got those types of valves, just be aware that that little pin is made of brass, and brass is copper and zinc, and it dezinkifies and goes all soft and yucky, literally turns to mush.
Yeah.
Hey ho.
Thank you to our Patreons for all your support as usual.
Yeah, it's great to have your support, and it's really meant a lot to us, hasn't it, over the last couple of months where things hadn't gone exactly to plan, but hey ho, we seem to be nearer on track now. We're not back on track, but nearer on track. Just one more lot of blood tests for me, and then we should be okay, hopefully.
Sorry, I'm really sweating. It's so hot in here, and the wind's dropped now.
Yeah, now the wind's dropped. That's absolutely typical, isn't it? And I guarantee you, if we go out there, one of two things will happen. The first thing that's happened is the wind will come up, and then the guys on the gullet next door
start having another party.
Yeah, I've got some great outtakes actually from when we were in the town when I was down by the mosque. I'll put them in the next video, because I had about 10 takes at trying to take this little piece of video, and you'll see in the next outtakes I'll put it in. Yeah, so no more water in the boat. We're going to leave the cabinet door off for a couple of days. I don't like the design of it, because the door is this big and the cabinets around is that big, and you can't get in there. So we're going to leave that off for a little while. Might design something better suited, better design. But otherwise, yeah, we're good. We're working our way north again. Slowly against the prevailing wind. We should have gone a lot earlier in the year, but of course we didn't, for one reason and another. We're going to try and get a bit further north, and then towards the end of the season, which of course is much later here, we are going to then downwind sail for hopefully yeah, hopefully a few 100 miles, and that'll be real fun. Right,
okay,
we better get on with it, otherwise this video will never get out. Okay guys,
take care.
sail safe, bye.